A certain director brought up the fact that Mike DeLuca did not have permits for the work done in his apartment, even though in 2007 we were told permits were not required. I also said at that time that I had had work done in my apartment, and that I was told by two IUS managers that I did not need any permits, so I did not get any permits. At that point, a certain director said I should be investigated, to which I replied, I'm sure this certain director has already done so, and is in possession of all my paperwork as well as everyone else's. Well, truer words were never spoken. Apparently, this certain director has gone to the building department and requested permits for the work done in my apartment, and lo and behold, my contractor had gotten permits. This director has copies of the permits and all my paperwork. This certain director did not come to me and say, oh, you were mistaken. Your contractor did get permits. No, no. Instead, this certain director has been showing my permits to people in the Green Kitchen in the mall and has been telling people that I lied to everyone and that I lied to protect Mike DeLuca since I had permits. Well, I had a friend go to the building department for me, and yes, my contractor had gotten permits for the work done in my apartment, but I never knew that. After the IUS managers told me I didn't need them, I didn't think any more about it. So if my contractors got permits without my knowledge, good for them. What is really important here is that this certain director is saying that I lied about the permits and that I am protecting Mike.
Right.
I did not lie, and I am not protecting Mike. I will say exactly what I said at the last meeting, that I was told I didn't need permits for the work I had done and that I didn't get any permits. How dare this certain director lie about me? Be that as it may.
Just a minute. You are describing things that happened in the Green Kitchen that did not happen at a board meeting, and that is not really proper.
Okay, I apologize. May I continue? Be that as it may, I too requested some permits from the building department. One was for this director's apartment. He had extensive work done in his apartment in the 90s. Guess what? No permits. Right there. Then I requested to see the permits for this office. As I've been told, if you take down a wall, you need a permit.
Point of order, you're interrupting.
No, I'm not being emotional, I'm reading. Mr. Milan, I'm making a statement, and I'd like to continue.
What is your point of order?
Wait a minute.
Point of order is you're trying to censor what she's saying.
I'm not using any names, and I will
Protecting
continue.
your boy, right?
She's recognized.
You may know, Mr. Malonzo took down a wall in the office recently. I've been told at present this type of work definitely requires a permit. This certain director saw this with his own eyes, so I asked the building director for this permit, and guess what? There are no permits for this. I then requested permits for the owner of apartment X, which is a friend of this director, a friend who also requested Mike DeLuca's alteration agreement. He too also had extensive alterations done in his apartment involving the window sleeve and the HVAC unit, which we have no permits for because this kind of work is not allowed. This director saw this alteration in person 2 years ago, yet this director is not investigating this friend. Talk about hypocrisy and double standards. Why didn't this director request permits for the work that was done in his apartment, his friend in apartment X, and this office? Why did he request permits only for people he doesn't like? It sounds to me like this has nothing to do with the structural integrity of the galaxy or adhering to rules. It sounds to me like this is a personal vendetta, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to reply.
Okay. No, I'm sorry.
She didn't call any names.
It doesn't. No. Sorry, Thomas. It's not fair. It is not fair because let me. This is not. This is very important issue. For the record, the director who was named, Director Lerner.
I named no one.
That's me. Okay. My motion, which I made at last meeting, to investigate allegations of alteration agreement improprieties regarding apartment 30 to 328D. In my motion, you will not find any references to any permits because I am not a building inspector. My motion was simply stated that the particular resident misled association either by purpose or because he did not know. And apparently he did not disclose the full extent of alteration. And I asked this board to investigate this matter because we are chartering dangerous waters because we cannot enforce any rules around here. For the record, I brought this issue at least 6 times since November of last year. I discussed this December 6 of 2007, November 15, 2007. This is the issue which I'm pursuing, and it has nothing to do with love or hate relationship with me or anybody else, no matter what anybody else says. And generally speaking, when people have no argument, they start getting personal. There is a clear violation here, because director, of course, when we mislead a unit service department and we do not state the full extent of alteration, they give us small agreement, which is called decorating agreement. And in fact, yes, it's kind of you do not have to have anything. But if anybody would look at the alteration agreement, it's quite evident here that you cannot start alteration unless you have a copy signed. You cannot, I mean, it's a very serious document. Do not start any work until you receive a copy of the alteration agreement signed by manager. It clearly indicates here what permits and what things need to be done. Plumbing work, including replacing, relocating, or changing of any plumbing fixture, electrical work, removal or relocation of the wall. It is a very extensive, serious document. Unfortunately, this board decided not to start this investigation. At the same time, Director Spingola mentioned the fact that she had no permits. I happened to be in her apartment when this particular work was done, and I remember that contractor did indicate that permits were required. More, Director Spingola posted a note and made it a matter of public knowledge that perhaps some directors did not know that permits were not required for work in 2007. Now, this is not the motion which was discussed, but just to comment, permits were always required.
Now,
Either this was enforced or not. You see, interesting issue right now. It's not about permits. Martha Stewart didn't go to jail because of the insider trading, but because she wanted to cover up insider trading. We're setting up a very serious precedent, which will haunt this association
I'm
forever.
going to have to respond to this, Tommy.
Which will haunt our association forever. It's not the matter.
He waited for you.
And I'm waiting too.
Please.
It is not the question of permits. It's the question of being truthful and being honest. There is no personal agenda here whatsoever. This issue was introduced before this board in October, in November, in December, and if this board did not act on it, I'm sorry. There are clear violations, and I would, more. I requested permits, of course I requested permits because I was working on this issue, and this is the total record for 2006 and 2007 for building department, which I obtained while I was looking for this issue in regards to the contractors not filing for permits. At that time, we worked together with Mr. DeLuca. When I looked at this particular permit ledger, I realized that in 2006, 26 apartments obtained permits and paid significant fees, not naming the apartment numbers. Yes, there is a permit for apartment 10E, Director Spingola, kitchen remodeling, remove a non-bearing wall between kitchen and living room, replace kitchen cabinet. There was a gentleman who filed for the permit in Tower 1. He paid almost $800 because he did replace kitchen cabinets, retire bathrooms, install wood floors, etc., etc. I do not have permits for my apartment, which I bought in 1994. I made it very clear. I don't have permits. I never spoke of the permits. I did not know. I was educated by Director DeLuca of the requirements because I'm willing to go anyway, to any extent, to make my apartment legal. I hired a contractor. I gave him instructions. I paid him. I left. I came back in '94. There was no conversation. It doesn't excuse me of not getting the permits. I'm willing to go all the way. I did not do it. The only reason why this issue was brought before this board because of constant complaints by 2 residents who wanted to bring my attention to this issue, and we wanted to set a precedent how we need to handle this issue in the future.
Okay. No, Lou Ann.
I want to repeat again that what I wanted to say and what I did say was that I am clearing my good name because sl1 went and got my permits and did not come to me and say, oh, you know what, you said you didn't have any permits, but in reality you do, which I didn't know about. No. He tells other people and shows them and accuses me of lying to the residents.